You can call me stupid, you can call me cheap, you can say I'm lazy, you can say I'm weak. You think that using her would get to me, and if you're right then you're in trouble, D. 'Cause I won't break, no I know I won't wait. You're in trouble, D.
What's up, everybody? After a long hiatus, we are back. I'm your host, Lieutenant, and with me tonight, we have Scott Pace from Louisiana. This was a short notice show. We were supposed to both be guests on B. Moss's show. She had to postpone due to some sort of family emergency, so I decided to go live, and I'm going to go ahead and do the interview with Scott Pace tonight. We also got a little bit of his evidence to reveal, a little bit of my evidence to reveal. So, Scott Pace, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing great, man. Glad to be here, and thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've been gone a little while. It's been almost 3 months. Of course, hunting season started in October, and I don't never miss hunting season. I got to go balls to the wall with that. But if some of the viewers out there may not know who you are, if you want to give a little introduction with yourself and how you got into cryptids, man, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Scott Pace, and me and my wife live in Gonzales, right below Baton Rouge. And the way I got into the cryptids is I had an experience in 2019 where I had a sighting, and I had a Dogman and a Bigfoot walk up on me, and the Bigfoot squatted down and was sitting there watching me. And so that was one of the first experiences that I had, but I had other experiences before that, but didn't realize what it was or what I was looking at. And so that was the one where I got the picture and everything of the Dogman and the Bigfoot together.
Right.
And so that was quite the experience, I mean, when you see something like that and they walk up on you. But I've got a lot more to that story too, because they both mind spoke to me. And so if people don't know what mind speak is, it's a form of telepathy. Let's say a universal language that they use. And that one quite shook me up a little bit. I mean, it took me a while to get over that one. But, what we're dealing with is something that's, I would say, supernatural, but yet in the physical also. And a lot of people say they don't believe in these creatures. But the thing of it is, even if you don't believe, there's some things you're just going to have to accept. And that would be my introduction into the cryptids and stuff.
Right. I know you and I, we speak pretty close, almost on a regular basis. I know you've told me a lot. If you want to get into the whole telepathy and that story that you just shared and get a little more in depth to it, I know everybody out there would probably like to hear that, because that's something that just doesn't occur all the time.
No, it doesn't. And so it was 2019 was the end of October. We'd started our rifle season on our hunting lease up in north central Louisiana, Kisatchie National Forest, where we have a hunting lease up there. About 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'm sitting there in the deer stand that we had, and it's a box stand. And anyways, when I was sitting there, I was kind of just playing with my phone, waiting for the deer to come out. And all of a sudden I get this like a high-pitched noise, and a vibration comes on the side of my head like this, and I feel it. I'm like, good Lord. And I looked over, and my gun is vibrating in the corner. So I have my 30-06 laying in the corner right there, and it starts vibrating. Well, I grabbed it, and I had the phone in the other hand. Then out of my peripheral view on the side, I turned, I looked, and I seen something there, and it looked like a big stump. And I thought at first, I said, my God, we don't burn our lease and everything. And when I started looking at it, I eased up my phone, and all I did was zoom in as far as I could. It was about 30, 40 yards away. So I got the best picture that I could with it, and I clicked the picture. Then the next thing I kept looking at it and something else was moving on the side of it. So I grabbed my binoculars and I pulled them up and I started looking at it. And I said, man, what in the world is this? And at first when I thought it was, it just looked like a person in a ghillie suit, all dark.
Mm-hmm.
But I could tell the skin was real black. I mean, it was really, really black like this, like my
Right.
headphones, you know. And then all of a sudden I seen something next move. So I took my rifle and I picked up. And when I did, that's when either the Bigfoot or Dogman, I really think it was a Dogman, looked at me and said, put the gun down or I'm going to come over there and tear that, you know, building up and I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, good Lord. I didn't know what to do. But let me explain to go a little bit deeper into this, okay? When I was looking at the Bigfoot, I'll give you some more description about it. The eyes were orange color with like a yellow starburst in them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was emitting something like a feeling. And it was just like emitting to me calm and peace and stuff like that. You know, it was just like I was calm, you know, and I wasn't scared. I was just more like, what is this, you know? But when I picked the rifle up and I seen the face, I knew immediately what it was. It just
Right.
like it's a Bigfoot, and it's just to see its face. The nostrils were kind of big on it, you know, they were wide, but it did have somewhat of a brow here, but not so much. More of just a round head like a human.
Mm-hmm.
But the skin was really, really dark black. I mean, like just black as coal, and the skin was very, very oily. Extremely oily on it, and I could see that. And the fur on it was long, but yet it looked like it had an undercoat on it too,
Right.
like it was thick, like a cat, or like you see a Persian cat or something like that, or you might see a black chow. It would look like
Right.
that, you know, a dog or something like that. You know, it was real thick. But when I moved over and I looked at the dog, man, I could see it. Now its head was long. It was big. It was big. I'd say it was probably 2 foot long, something like that. And then its shoulders was like a human coming down right here, and it was pretty much built and shaped like a basketball player. But then the face on it came down and looked like a German Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
It looked just like a German Shepherd. Never growled at me, never said anything. Okay. And then when I put the gun down, these two start interacting with each other, you know, and I remember telling them back to them saying, hey, my hand's not on the trigger. I'm just looking at you, you know? So the Bigfoot was constantly trying to admit something to me like, calm down, everything's okay. But the dog man, when I felt it from him, was looking at it. It was weird how you had two different things going on. I was almost like I was trying to shake, you know? And I was getting really scared. Almost like you know, like you shake uncontrollably. But as long as I was looking at the Bigfoot, I was okay.
Right.
But then something told me, said, get out of there, you know, just leave. And so I went and grabbed my backpack and I started leaving. I went and got left out. And it was starting to get dark then. So the way the stand was set up, they had a long shooting lane. It was like 125 yards, 150 yards. And I had to walk on the side of it on a 4-wheel trail that we had. And I was walking out. Now I could hear these things paralleling me as I was walking out. So they were walking on the side of me and I could hear that. Okay. So they was on one side, I was on the other side, and I could hear them walking out there. And it sounded like more than 2. It sounded like 3 or 4 to me. So it was probably a Bigfoot and something else. I would say a couple of Dogmen or something like that. When I hunt with a golf cart, so it's all jacked up off the ground, everything. And when I got to it, I remember sitting there, heard my cousin crank up and he was coming around. And I remember them getting right at the edge of the wood line, but they didn't come out. But I sat there looking at them the whole time, and I had my 30-06 ready just in case, you know, because you don't know what they're going to do or whatever.
Right.
But I remember as soon as he passed me, I cranked up and took off and got out of there.
Yep.
And so that was the experience in 2019 that I had. Now, I'm going to tell you about another experience that I had with Mind Speak the following spring. So we knew that they were going to come and clear cut our lease. We just don't know when. So we've been talking about it for the last, 8 years or something like that. And so they finally told us that, hey, we're going to come and clear cut the land. So that whole lease, the dynamics of everything changed because when I said he came in and clear cut, they cut every tree off this thing that they could get out of there. Now I was sitting at my house, April or May, I was sitting in my house on a Saturday. And I was got up on Saturday morning, I'm drinking my coffee, I'm sitting in a chair and everything. And all of a sudden the same thing happens again. I get this thing on the side of my head like this, this vibration, this high vibration, like an
Mm-hmm.
energy, almost like a hand pushing it, but it's like a force field, and
Right.
it's pushing on the side of me. And all of a sudden this whatever came to me and said, why did you tear up my home? Why did you tear up my land? I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? He said, you came in, you destroyed our land, you destroyed our home. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. I said, and I'm talking just like I'm talking to you. And I said, look,
Mm-hmm.
that is not my land. I said, we only lease that land. We only come there to hunt. And I said, that is why you don't see me there all the time. I said, I'm only there 5 or 6 times a year. And I said, after that, I'm out of there. And don't you know, like this thing had a spirit of depression or something, and I felt it leave. So that's the mind speak part. Now, I haven't had any more mind speak, so to say, where they would connect with me and talk to me like that.
Right.
But me and my wife have had them come in the house here.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
yes. So another Saturday, right after that, we were cooking breakfast together. Okay, so I was right behind me in the refrigerator, and my wife was over at the stove, and all of a sudden this thing illuminates between us. You ever seen Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
So something came in between us like Star Trek, like this, and it was big. It was enough to where it would have touched both of us, but it did that, and then it just disappeared. My wife looked at me, and I looked at her. I'm like, oh, it's getting real. Now. It's getting real now. Now, let me tell you what happened after that was a lot of activity began to happen at our house. The following winter and everything, it was kind of cold. Y'all had the issues in Texas and all that where it got really
Yep.
cold and froze froze a
Yeah.
lot over there. Well, we had cooler temperatures here in Louisiana too. And my wife comes in one time and she's all, she went outside and put the trash out, and she come back inside. She goes, somebody's been in the yard barefoot. I said, dude, what? I'm like dying laughing. I'm thinking to myself, now who in the world be running around in the yard barefoot?
Right.
I may have sent that picture to you, and you may have that. You can show it if you got it.
I'd have to look, but I
Yeah.
think I do got it. Yeah.
But there's a footprint next to my sidewalk outside, okay? And there is a perfect barefoot footprint there. And I'm going, now who in the world would be walking in the yard out of the barefoot? It's this daggum cold out here,
Yeah.
And it was like, it was in the 30s, low
Yeah.
30s then. And it was for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what's the possibilities of one of them things coming to the house? And so I'm like, well, I guess they, if this thing can come and mind speak to me here at the house, they can come around here too, And so, we've had activity like that. And then another thing happened was at night, I try to go to bed and everything, and something will push me like this in the
Mm-hmm.
bed right before it's weird how you get into that REM sleep.
Yeah.
And you're starting to sleep, and all of a sudden something just pushed me like that. And I wake up thinking, maybe the cat jumped on me or something like that in the house or something. I'm looking around, and my wife's downstairs, watching TV. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
So I just laid back down, and it would do it again. And I'm like, oh my Lord, what's going on? So I called my wife and said, hey, I said, you downstairs? She said, yeah, I'm watching TV. So I said, okay, that's all right. So I went back to bed. But that goes to show you the capabilities that they have. Now, a lot of
Yes.
people don't believe in that stuff and all that, but I'm here to tell you, it's not what you believe, it's what you're willing to accept.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. There is just like earlier, I think either today or yesterday, I was reading a post that Vic Cundiff put out about one of the guys he was interviewing on his Bigfoot podcast, or pre-interviewing actually, saying that there was a Bigfoot that he knows that they can jump from a tree to another tree 200 feet, and then Vic Cundiff, well, it's just that just seems preposterous. I just don't think the guy's telling the truth. We don't know what these things can do.
Nope.
Can they jump 200 feet from tree to tree? Who knows? We don't know. We don't know enough about these creatures. Unless you see it happen, then maybe you could say, but then again, you can't throw that out the realm of possibility. It's just like if you have a Bigfoot walking in the snow in an open field, you see these footprints, and then all of a sudden, poof, they stop.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Is it a portal? Not out the realm of possibility. Could they have stepped backwards in their tracks? Absolutely. If you talk to Old Bear will tell you straight, with a straight face and 100% truth that they will absolutely back up in their tracks backwards if they feel like they're going to be seen, if they're threatened. A lot of times I've heard of dogmen tracks going all the way up to a tree, and then they stop in, and then of course, what do you think happened? Well, they went up the tree.
They climbed a tree.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've caught pictures of dogmen in trees. I've got a
Yep.
few of those where they're in trees. So it's not out the realm of possibility. Absolutely not.
Here's the thing: is you can't limit these creatures. You can't say, well, they only do this. They're only flesh and blood. They're only this. They're only that. Well, I don't buy that anymore. I don't buy that for one bit.
Yeah.
You know, cloaking. Yes, they cloak.
Yes.
I've seen so many pictures that people have of them cloaking. I have seen flashes while I've been sitting in my deer stand and see these flashes go across.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say they're a ghost or whatever, but I really think it's either a dogman or a Bigfoot. When I say it, it's like you see like the movie Flash where this thing goes across like this,
Mhm.
just like that. And I'm sitting in a box stand going, did I just see a ghost? And all of a sudden over here to the side, something will illuminate and go back off again. So I'm
Yeah.
like, what in the world? You know, it's so many strange things that happen in the woods. And it's like one time I was walking to the deer stand on the left-hand side of me, and the moon is bright. Okay, so it's a full moon. The sun's coming up from the east.
Mhm.
On the west, they got the moon right there. Okay, and it's funny how you see LED light like you see in here now,
Right.
and that's a white light. And on the other side, there's a yellow sun coming. It was beautiful. You know, it's coming
Mhm.
up that morning. Also, I'm walking to the stand, and right when I get the turn to go into the stand to climb up in a stand, I hear this like an owl. Owl starts hooting. You know. And all of a sudden, another one did it at a different pitch, and something else did it. And all of a sudden,
Yep.
owls don't run through the woods.
Yeah.
I said 3 of them run through the woods. Well, I got to talking, you know, and somebody said, well, that sounds like it's females, you know, running through there.
Yeah.
Also, I've been in there before in the stand, and I've heard like, you hear you grit your teeth like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Really, really, really loud. I'm like, good night. What in the world is that? That time I got out of the stand, I left. I'm like, if some could grit their teeth that loud, I don't want to be in the
Yeah.
woods with. You can have it. It's all yours. You know, I'm like, I'm good.
You know, that's pretty interesting you say that about the owls, because I remember I told you when at the start of archery season that I shot that doe. Matter of fact, it was the first day of archery season. I went out there, hunted that evening, and I told you about that, where I shot the doe and I tracked the blood and then found a big
Right.
blood spot, and then it just poof, disappeared.
Gone.
Nothing. Couldn't find
That's
it. And while I was tracking this deer in the dark, I had to go back. I wasn't expecting this deer with the broadhead I had to take off. Well, she took off, and I knew it was a money shot. She started bleeding from the moment I hit her, and I tracked the blood, and it was already getting pretty close to dark. So I had to get in my side-by-side, go back to my truck, get my rifle and my spotlight, and go into the woods looking. And I tracked for a little over an hour. When I found that blood spot, the big one, where I couldn't find nothing else, no ground disturbed, I heard an owl pop off, and then I started hearing kind of like owl chatter, but it was a different frequency. And
Right.
I was like, yeah, no, it's time to get out.
Right. There's something there. So I also have right before I had that sight in 2019, I shot a doe. It was a big doe. Okay. And it was during muzzleloading season.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is strange. Shot the doe. After the smoke cleared, I watched the doe just sit there and kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she had died. So I went ahead and took the blasting cap out, put me another blasting cap in, put 2 more tablets in, pushed a bullet in, 50 caliber. Now understand it's a 50 caliber gun, okay, single shot. It's gonna leave a hole in something. I seen the deer hit the ground. So I opened the door of the box stand, start walking. All of a sudden, this doe uprights and takes off.
On 2 legs?
No, it just uprighted and took off.
4?
Okay. And I'm like, what in the world just happened? And I said, this can't be. I shot that doe. There's blood all over the place. I mean, I plastered that thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I say money shot, this dude was it was on the heart shot because there was blood everywhere.
Right.
I knew that. And I seen this thing hit the ground, and I seen it go lifeless. All of a sudden, it uprights. You understand what I'm saying? Like you
Mhm.
pick up a, sound like you pick up a bag, a duffel bag,
Yeah.
and it takes off. When I say it took off fast too. I'm like,
Hmm.
no, come to find out, talk to somebody else about that. They said a Bigfoot was cloaking, ran through there, picked my deer up, and took off. Now,
Wow.
how many hunters have seen their deer get out of the stand, watch it die? Okay, give it time to die, watch it die,
Hmm.
get out of the stand, go to the deer where it's supposed to be at, and it's not there.
Yeah.
I know personally of two people that's happened to
Wow.
recently,
Yeah.
very recently that happened to.
See, and you know, with when I told you about that one I shot, I can't remember who I talked to, but they told me, yeah, you probably should have looked straight up in the tree because there's a possibility, you know, Bigfoot or whatever could have grabbed that tree, that doe,
Oh yeah,
shoved her up in a tree. I think, matter of fact, I think it was you that I said that you told that
it
to.
it may have.
Yeah,
You know,
because
we talked a lot lately, so
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the experiences I've had. So let me tell you about another experience that I had, and uh, we had decided to cut some new trails. Okay, 2 years before we had to clear cut and everything. So we decided to add another box stand, and it was in a wide open area, and there was a thicket before then. So we decided to cut through. So we went ahead and we cut a trail through that. And it was probably about 20 yards. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
just an estimate. 20, 30 yards, something like that. So we took our time, went through, we cut it, got all around. So it's just wide enough for four-wheelers and, you know, golf carts, side by sides to go in. That was it. So once we got in there, we opened it up, but I began to smell something. When I say stunk, smelled just like something dead. I mean, like something had, you know, how you smell a dead deer on the side of the road, or you
Yeah.
smell something, it's got that really funky stink to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, God, dog. I said, something stinks. And they said, well, it's probably a dead dog back there or something, you know. And one of my cousins said, well, it's probably somebody's dog over there died in the woods. And they said, we got to go find it, bury it or something. So that's all right. That's good, you know. So ain't no big deal. And this is in September. You know, it's hot
Yeah.
in Louisiana and Texas. It is hot.
Mm-hmm.
It stinks. So I'm like,
Yep.
oh my God. So they said, well, look, go ride around and see if we need to, if we missed anything, you know. So pretty good size lease. So I started riding around. And all of a sudden, I stopped for some reason. I just stopped. And I started walking toward this place where we have a food plot at. And for some reason, I get this weird notion to look down. And that's when I got the picture that I sent you in the pine straw.
Mm-hmm.
So that one right there, you know, I look down and I'm like, wait a minute, this is one print. Where's the other prints at? So I start looking back and forth. There's a thicket. There's a trail, nice sized trail. You could probably drive a truck down it. And then you've got a little spot that's on the side over here. Then you've got, you know, the forest after that. But in this right hand side, there's pine straw. And when I say thick, it is thick pine straw. And the print went down about, I'd say about 2 or 3 inches.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect footprint. So I took a picture of that. I said, now this is weird. So I went and got one of my cousins. I said, come here, look at this. I said, what do you think about this? And he's like, well, I don't look like a footprint to me. That's somebody walk around the woods. I said, wait a minute. Go put your foot over there and see how deep you can get it. So we both went over there and we put our foot down. And we stepped back. I said, now jump up and down with that one footprint that you put in there. Let's see. And the pine straw came back. But that footprint stayed there.
Wow. That's
Yep.
something pretty heavy.
Oh, yeah. Something real heavy. And then, ironically, the same time we was up there, we went back over there. And on the way in the lease, we take a turn to go into our lease. But straight ahead, we noticed there was an oak tree. Now, you got pine trees all around there, okay?
Right.
You got some pine trees. And this is where they grow the national forest and everything. But this one oak tree is snapped. And it's still there, growing just like this. Something snapped it,
Right.
okay? So I talked to my cousin and I said, hey, man, I said, don't that look kind of weird? The wind did that. I said, well, why didn't it break the pine trees? That's
Yeah.
just one tree right there, you know? So don't you think that's kind of weird, kind of ironic? And let me tell you, this thing is about 7 to 8 foot off the ground that is snapped. I believe that they were snapping that to keep some people from coming in there.
Yeah.
blocking it off. Now X's, I've seen X's there before. I've
Mhm.
seen glyphs on the ground that people just think they're sticks, but they're not, because the way that it's there is you got bows. Okay, you got these pine
Right.
trees that are bowed over. Some people say, "Oh, that's just from the frost. That's from the winter." You
Mhm.
know, no, they're bent down, and you look on the ground, and there are these like triangles down there. You know, like a triangle there,
Mhm.
and then you got all kind of other sticks there. They're laid out a certain way. And I'm thinking to
Right.
myself, wow, this is interesting, man. So I really started getting into it then, and doing more research and stuff. I haven't found anybody yet. And if somebody could put in the comments is where I could talk to somebody at to talk about glyphs, what these sticks and structures mean, because that's my next, I would say, the next wave that I'm going to, or the next way I'm fixing to go is start
Right.
looking at glyphs, the way we can understand this more. And
Yeah.
somebody out there does know it. It's just like the single footprint. I didn't know about that, and so I started doing some more research, and I come to find out someone had said that they're able to go in and out of dimensions.
Mhm.
So what happened was they probably, like, just say if you and I were walking down a trail and I slipped off the trail and stepped in the mud and come back on the trail again, right?
Right.
You got your main trail and you got a little mud
Mhm.
on the side. We might have a little ditch or something like that.
Right.
Well, you would slip off and you go into that and then come back. They said that's what happened was they'll walk along. They might have stumbled or probably was running and you know went to the side or something like that and made that print from being in a certain dimension to another dimension. And some people can't
Mhm.
accept that either. But I've learned to accept a lot of things lately from what I know,
Right.
what I've
Right.
seen. And it's like, wait a minute. Okay, how does all this work? Who knows? We're not dealing with a lot of just flesh and blood animals like a deer or a hog or something like that. You're
Mhm.
dealing with something totally different here.
Yep. Yep. A lot of my research started out as flesh and blood, and then as I got deeper and deeper and deeper, and then started getting into the dogman real heavy, of course, there for a while, it kind of moves you away from that flesh and blood because you're seeing evidence of something from one frame to the next. You catch a clear glimpse, then the next quarter frame second, it's blurred, or it's totally weird. I mean, I've gone through so much evidence before I took my break, and it's just the weird stuff you see with videos. And that's why I told you that other day, if you go in, don't just snap pictures, do a video,
Yeah,
and then send it to me, because then I can
right.
go in quarter second frame at a time, and you wouldn't believe what you catch, man. I've caught some weird stuff, especially here back in September. I went out on my property, and yeah, I caught some good stuff.
Yeah. I'd like to go back probably about 10 years or so. And we had a hunting lease up in farther north, close to Winfield, in a town, well, a little community called Sykes, a town community.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were out there hunting, and it was a big, big lease, huge lease. I never seen the whole lease. I mean, it was really good. But I remember going out there one time by myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I went there early, and then my cousin and him were going to meet us up there the next day because they all had to work. I think I went in like a Thursday or something like that, and they had to work, so we can meet up on Friday, Saturday, and then come back in, so we can get the hunt in for them. Well, I went out there that evening. I think it was a Thursday evening, and stayed there for about 2 hours. It was a big old tall box stand I was in, and I remember hearing the coyotes right before dark. Man, the coyotes went nuts. They were all over the place, and all of a sudden, I look over, and there was a clear cut where they had cleared some property and stuff. And where I was hunting was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of trees. They were small pine trees. When I say small, 4 or 5 feet. They just planted them, and they had just a complete, huge, huge section. I want to say probably 50, 60 acres of just rolling hills and nothing but. And what you would do is you would hunt these trees, and if you see the trees moving, every now and then a deer head will pop up or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's, we get. But I was hunting on the side where I had a shooting lane straight down. And I remember the coyotes going nuts, man. I mean, they were just cutting up, acting crazy. And all of a sudden, I see this man walking. And he's a pretty big fella. I'm like, good God, that's a big old dude. And I'm thinking, what's this guy doing on our lease? You know?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he scoots real fast. He's like walking in, and he takes off. I'm like, what the heck is he running from? And there's a tree line, okay, from one side to the other side. So I watch him get there, and all of a sudden I start getting this eerie feeling, like I'm getting really scared. Like, where's this feeling coming from? And I'm like, well, I just don't feel right. So I end up
Yeah.
packing up again, getting my stuff, and getting on out of there that evening. And the sun was going down anyway, so it was you couldn't shoot no more anyway. But I remember right at the sun going behind the trees, the coyotes went off, and all of a sudden, then I see this guy walking, and he's a big fella. He's a big old boy, like an NFL football player coming
Yeah.
across there. And I remember saying, this guy's got a lot of clothes on. He's pretty thick fellow. And I'm thinking, what in the world is he doing out here this late at night? But I seen him cutting across. It was probably at least 200 yards,
Hmm.
maybe close. Yeah, about 200 yards. He was a good ways away. But I never thought to pick my scope up and look at it. I was just amazed.
Right.
This guy's out here and these coyotes going. I said, what was he doing about them coyotes over there? So it goes to another point I'm going to bring to you. So 2 weeks ago, we were on our hunting lease again, okay? So I brought one of my friends up. He just wanted to go hang out with me. And so he said, man, I just want to go sit in the stand with you and just, I've only been deer hunting like once or twice in my life. He said, I just want to see what it's like. I said, well, come on, bro, let's go. So we're going to enjoy ourselves. So we get out there, and sure enough, we get in that box stand. We're sitting there and have the little windows open, and we spray down with the spray and stuff like that to cover the scent and all. Sure enough, sun's going down and everything. And I kept looking around, didn't see anything, nothing at all. I said, well, sun's going down now. And I said, it's getting kind of hard for me to see out of my scope. And I said, let's go and pack it on in. So my cousin he was on the other side of the lease, and I heard him crank up, and he was coming around. Well, here again, coyotes start
Hmm.
going off. And I mean, they are cutting up. They're going crazy, okay? And then all of a sudden, we hear this long, deep yell. Like this. I'm like going, he looked at me and I looked at him and I'm like, okay, it's time to get up. And so we hurry up, got the rifle, put it up and everything. We get in the golf cart, we haul and tail out of there. So we get back to my cousin's place. I asked him, I said, you didn't hear that yell? He said, what yell?
Yeah.
Me and my buddy look
Yeah.
at each other like, this ain't
Yeah. Well,
good.
yeah. Yeah.
What yell? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, we heard it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was 2 weeks ago, okay?
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me a week and a half ago, but we'll get into that little story later. It's actually pretty good. But we got a question, and I don't know
Sure.
who it is. It says Facebook user, and I know it's not Al because Al doesn't put his name up there. It says, how long has Scott been in the field?
Well, researching about 2 years now, since 2019. Before that, I did have a sighting, and I'll go into that with you in just a second. Tell you about that. But seriously, researching about only about 2 years now. But it's 2019, 2021. Yeah, about 2 years. That's
About
it.
two
Now,
years.
before I knew I seen some stuff, didn't know what it was, but after this happened, full blast. I mean, anybody would talked about it. I'd called people. I've done 3 interviews before this one. Um, Talked to other people, stayed up all night talking to people and stuff. Whoever would talk to me, I'd tell them my story, tell them what happened. Some people could accept it. The ones who was willing to talk to me about what happened, I talked to them.
Mhm.
The other one says, "Oh, it's only flesh and blood, it's only flesh and blood." I said, okay, then I don't talk to them no more. I leave it alone. I said, dude, there's way more to this stuff than this.
Oh yeah.
Way more. So yeah, only about 2 years now that I've been doing it, but I've been hunting all my life.
Yep.
And until you start recognizing the stuff around you, the X's as you go in the woods, the territorial markers, the boat over trees, these are pointing in a certain direction. They're pointing at something. This is a marker also. The glyphs on the ground. Um, if you see any scratches on trees, I mean, if you don't have deer in there, I mean, if you don't have bear in the area, it's got to be something else.
Hmm.
These strange noises, okay? Weird noises you hear, you're like, what in the world is that noise in the woods? You like, just can't quite figure
Yeah.
it out. I've been in a deer stand before. And as soon as I sit down, a stick hits the side of the deer stand, been a box stand, something wham, just hits the side. I'm like, good Lord. How does that happen? Don't fall on the
Yeah.
top, hits the side. So that's happened before too. So yeah, about 2 years now. So that's what that happened. But I'll go into the story about the other thing that I saw. An old bear called it a gugway, which I didn't know how dangerous these things were or what it was.
Yeah.
This is pretty scary. So it was December time of year when they run dogs and stuff, and so
Hmm.
I hadn't shot a deer that year. So my cousin and they said, "Well, hey, look, let's go ahead and we're gonna do some stands and stuff like that. We're just gonna do some stands on the right of ways and stuff, and we're just gonna run the dogs through." Okay, so I said, "All right, sounds good." So, anyways, they start running the dogs through and everything. So I'm standing there, and sure enough, the dogs start coming my way, and I hear something coming through the woods, and it sounds like a big old buck. It's running pretty good. Then it starts going across and starts going down a hill in front of me. Now there's some thickets and stuff in front of me, so I start going with it, down this fire break. All of a sudden, the dogs stop and turn around to go back the other way. I mean, they're just going crazy and everything, and all of a sudden, it's like 6, 8 dogs, and they turn around and go the other way.
Hmm.
Just stop. I mean, cold turkey stop. So I start going down to where I hear this thing stop running. I'm like, wait a minute, this deer should have crossed the fire break right here. I should have seen it. Should have got a shot at it. So sure enough, I walk down there and I see this hole like this. There's this hole in the briars and stuff like that going through it. And I said, that's weird, man. That's really kind of crazy. And also I start looking through, and about 20, 30 yards back, I see this thing, and it's the best way I can describe to you is it has pointy ears, it's hairy, it's big, it has a baboon face.
Hmm.
That's the best way I can describe this thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
black. It's like coal black, but has some highlights of brown in it too.
Hmm.
And when I seen that thing, it was looking at me. It had a coal black eyes. I didn't see any white in its eyes at all. None.
Yeah.
All I seen was coal black eyes. And when I looked at that thing, it was just sitting there looking back at me. And I took my scope and I picked up and looked at it and said, "Good God, what in the world is this thing? It don't look like a bear. It don't look like a hog. And those things would move. They would move around or something. This thing was just sitting there looking at me, and I was like, again, start getting this really scary feeling, like like wait a minute, is this the boogeyman or what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And so that was probably at least 10 years ago that I seen that. Since then, I've the J type of scope I had on there had a Tasco scope on it.
Hmm.
Since then, I've actually went and got a better scope, a whole lot better scope. I
Yeah.
went to Cabela, spent some good money, and got a really nice scope and put on my gun. And I can see really good with it now. So it's very clear. And that's how I seen the Bigfoot then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
that.
that Gugway, I didn't know what I was looking at. Didn't know. And here's the problem with that. Okay, they say if you see one, there's another one around you.
Oh, absolutely.
I never even thought to
Absolutely.
look behind me or on the side of me. I was like, "Ooh, this is weird. I'm getting the heck out of here." It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, man,
Yeah.
I take off and I get back over to where they had a lay down area. Where when they would go in and do the timber and stuff. There's this lay down area there.
Hmm.
So I get over there and I get to lay down there, and everybody's asking me, "You didn't see that deer? You didn't shoot that deer?" I said, "He said it ran right at you," and I said, "It never came out." They said, "You gotta be
Yeah.
kidding! It stayed in that thicket." I said, "Whatever it was, stayed in the thicket." That's all I said was whatever it was, stayed in the thicket.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the reports I heard of Gugways, they're usually light colored, white, grayish looking. The
Uh-huh.
only exception to that is the Beast of Seven Shoots,
Yeah.
where that actually was colored exactly like a baboon,
Yeah.
face and all. Just
Yeah.
it mimic a baboon, but from the picture, if you look at it, this thing is upright, has the
Mhm.
body of like a human. It's not like hunched over like a baboon would be. It's standing straight up, and it's the shoulders aren't very broad. They're more human built, not very wide, but it's not skinny. But it's
Yeah.
kind of slender from the waist up, and it's tall with that baboon feature, and it's colored just like a baboon, that real light brownish looking color. And that's the only exception I've seen to Gugway not being like a light grayish whitish color.
Right. Well, this thing here was squatted down, and I'm short. I'm 5'6", but this thing was taller than me, squatted down, and I was like, "Oh God, what the heck is that?"
Yeah.
And it's like, it's time to get out of the woods. I don't know what that is, but you know, let's get out of here. So that started a lot of stuff for me right there. Was that sighting? I went and got another gun, same 30-06 and everything, but I bought that gun and then just to protect myself.
Mhm.
And that was quite the stir. And then The other thing was when I had the experience of them together. But you know what? Since then, when I go in the woods now, it's not like I'm scared to go in the woods. I still go hunt. I still go shoot
Hmm.
deer, but I don't go in like frightened. You know,
Right.
I know that they're there. They haven't tried to attack me. If they do, I think they know what's going to happen. I'm going to protect
Hmm.
myself.
Oh, absolutely.
And they see how we shoot the deer and we blow holes in them and everything. They know that some pain is going to happen to them, so they
Hmm.
keep their distance. Now,
Not only that, I think they feed off of fear. They know when you're scared, and they'll do
yeah,
anything to intimidate you to get you out of their home, which is the woods.
right. So I got to tell you something else that happened 2 weeks ago while we was up there, and we're developing our land and stuff up there, so it's going to be a nice little campground for us is what we're
Hmm.
doing. So we all get up there and we have a piece of equipment up there and working on this big backhoe and everything, and we had an issue with it, so it wouldn't start and all that. So we took the batteries out, was checking all everything, and finally found it had a bad ground on it. So I had me and my cousins all up there, had me and five other people up there. So we all stand around this backhoe talking, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden they have this German Shepherd that's up there, and it's a great tracking dog. You shoot a deer, it's gonna go right to it.
Hmm.
Great tracking dog, great blood trail dog. Okay, all of a sudden this German Shepherd sitting there, standing beside us. All of a sudden it takes off to the edge of the woods over there. Okay, runs to the edge of the woods and starts growling. And we're like going, what in the heck is going on? Everybody's just fixed on this part of the woods. Okay. And they all stand there just looking. And I'll start looking at them, see what their expressions are. And they're like, all of them just got that deer in the headlight look,
Yeah.
and all of them. And I say, wait a minute, what are all these guys scared of? And all of a sudden, the dog stops growling, turn around, and come back. Well, I had a camera on me, so I went into the woods, and I was going to try to take a picture, whatever it was. And they're like, "Man, I don't know what's in that woods. I won't go in there right now." But
Yeah.
that was when that dog ran to the edge of the woods and starts growling. And I'm sitting there trying to get the batteries fixed and the cables fixed and all that. I wasn't really paying attention to it. And I'll stop there looking at everybody else, And that dog
Yeah.
is just ran to the woods and started growling, And I'm like, they said it's seen something. I said, yeah. I said, I don't know what it's seen, but you can only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Being what I've had happen in the last probably what are we December?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just about every time I've gone out to my property in the evening time, something has happened. I actually had something happen to me during the day, and I told you about this about a week and a half ago. Um, at the before hunting season started, I built a quick fence to try and keep the cows out there getting in. That didn't work, so I went in and just redid the whole fence, put corner posts, stretched the wire taut. Um, I was on the last day finishing up the final side, and I've got a makeshift gate where you just, how you put the wire to hold the T post on top and then you just move
Right.
it. And I had one of those and I had it open. I had my side by side pulled in and kind of cut to the right. And I was working on the far corner right next to the woods. And I was about right even with the feeder. And then I just heard, and this is probably about 1:30 in the afternoon, I heard a guttural growl probably about
Mm-hmm.
50 yards, and it was loud. I felt it, and honestly, it kind of, to me, it sounded canine-ish, but it was real hard to tell, but it was loud. I stopped like dead in my tracks, and I'm like, oh damn.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I'm looking because the brush, if you're looking at, if you walk to my feeder, you look right outside the fence, there's nothing but brush. You look to the left,
Right.
nothing but brush. There's also a downed oak tree that was broken off 2 weeks after the hurricane that come through here, about 8 foot up. There was no other trees broken around it. I mean, it couldn't have been, it's windy out there, but it couldn't have been the wind. This oak tree was still live, and it's folded over. It's still there. I haven't even removed it. I left it there. For one, it gives the deer cover, but I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but as I heard that growl, I stopped. And the only thing I had on me was my AR-9, which is got a 4-inch barrel. Of course, 9mm ain't going to do shit to whatever comes to you that's that big. That's why
It's
now, like you told
yeah.
me, 35 caliber bigger. I got a 350 Legend now. That's what goes with me. And
Yeah, yeah.
it
If you
was
look, yeah.
pretty damn loud. And you know what the funny part about it is, Scott, is that elementary school was there. The kids were outside playing,
Wow,
and that's about
man, that's
five,
something.
600 yards away.
You see, these things are so good at camouflage, at
Mhm.
cloaking. They could be right there on you. You never
Yeah,
even know it.
never see it.
Never even know. I mean, right on you. You don't know if they're right there by some bushes by the kids at school or something like that.
Hmm. Yep.
So you never know.
No, absolutely not. And I've gotten I was sitting out there with my night vision evening time before dark. It was me and my son. We were just out there to see if any hogs. This was before hunting season started. And the cicadas were just going crazy behind us, like
Hmm.
making all kind of noise.
Yep.
And I decided to hit record on my scope just to make sure the function still worked and record a little bit of video just to see how it would come out. Cause that's, I use it a lot out there. And this ain't no joke, man. I'll play it later. I got it loaded up on here. The first second, maybe second of that video, you could hear a vocalization, and it was pretty clear.
Wow.
It was pretty clear. And
Now
I have so happened to catch it.
you talk about uh guttural, how you say gruttles, growls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was up there in Sykes, Louisiana hunting, and we was on the lease, and then that time my father and my cousin and two other people were hunting with us. Okay, two friends were hunting with us, and I was sitting on a leaning tube, like you say. I'm not a lean tube. I'm sorry, a tripod. So it
Hmm.
was a tall tripod. This tripod was probably at least 15 feet off the ground,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. This was in the morning time. Okay, this wasn't in the evening time. This time. And sure enough, I'm sitting there and I hear something walking behind me. So, oh man, it must be a big buck or something. And there's actually like you say, you got these tree lines in between where they plant the pine trees and all that. And this was a little area between there. It's where we put it on. You got a shoot lane on each side, okay? And so I'm sitting there and I hear this thing, and all of a sudden it starts doing that,
Yeah.
and I'm like, does a hog do that? I'm like, again, like that. I'm like, but I don't smell nothing. I don't hear anything, and I'm thinking, would a buck do that? And I'm like, so I'm real easy with my rifle, and I'm trying to turn around and look like this. I can hear it behind me,
Yeah.
but it walks this way, and it must have winded me. It was to smell me, but it kept on going. But the thing of it is, it seemed like you would see something, right?
Right.
You should have seen something. I
Yeah.
heard it walking, never seen a thing. If
That,
it's a deer, you're gonna look back and that close, you're gonna see something. If it's a
mhm.
hog's gonna make all kind of dad blame noise. I mean, they're gonna come through like a little bulldozer coming through that stuff. And they had hogs up there and stuff. But it just did that low like this at me. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, what the heck is that? This is a morning time. I never told anybody about that up there. I just kept that one to myself. I was like,
Yeah. And it's pretty interesting that you say that with like you said earlier with the cloaking, and then hearing footsteps and not being able to see anything, when in all actuality, in the perfect world, if something takes a footstep, you should see it.
right.
I read an article, and I confirmed it with I can't remember who it was. Damn, this was months ago. It's during the summer. But the government is looking into, or is real. Let's put it this way: they're really, really interested in cloaking,
Hmm. Wow.
which doesn't surprise me. But it was actually confirmed that they're looking
Yeah.
into the cloaking capabilities and how they're able to do it. Which, if you look, I don't know if I told you this. If you go on to Amazon Prime, and it's called Bigfoot: A Hidden Reality. If you watch that documentary, by the way, it's the best documentary I've ever seen on Bigfoot.
Wow. Okay.
It's about an hour long, a little over an hour long. They explain to you uh, the possibility of how these things cloak. They actually got a Bigfoot hair,
Right.
and they put it under a microscope, and they start taking different spectrums of light to it and away from it. And as you put, I can't remember, I may have it backwards, but if you put light to it, you could see the hair change different hues of green, like
Okay.
it's camouflaging.
Yep.
And it's like a $10 documentary, and it's well worth the $10, man.
Yeah.
It's an awesome documentary, and that kind of explains a lot how these things in the daytime, you know, if they step in any kind of sunlight, how you may not be able to see them. They could be blending in with the foliage so well, it may not just be the whole predator, you know, what do you call it? I guess bending of light that
Yes.
everybody sees. I mean, it could
Yeah.
just be next to a bush, and it could be the same color of the bush and look like a big mass of a bush, and you not know it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've learned recently in the last 2 years since I'm doing my research and stuff is how do you pick up faces in pictures? So, you know, you don't see the bodies, you only see the eyes, right? So the first thing when I look at a picture, somebody sends me a picture, I start looking at them. First thing I start looking for is eyes.
Right.
And sometimes you see them, you like this, or in a tree, or they're like this, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they got weird like this, you know, and it's just all these different types of positions they get into, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's how they camouflage, and then you only see this. You don't
Yeah.
see the rest of the body. And
Yeah.
like you said, they're able to camouflage their body so well that you don't see them. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, I can't accept that. It's fuzzy picture. It's this and that." Well, you know what?
Right.
They have capabilities that we don't have. You know,
Absolutely, they do.
me and you get out there and take a picture, they're gonna see us. But
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
these things here, you know, all they got to do is cloak themselves, and you ain't gonna see nothing. You
Yeah.
know, you're gonna just see a little shimmer, and that's it. Now, you know, we talked about the time that I took a picture and it messed up my phone, would have had
Yeah.
something run across in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
But this is funny. My phone is still messed up from that. And that was in September, okay, this past September. And
Yep.
sure enough, I was taking a video because you told me start taking videos. I said, okay, I'm gonna start taking videos. And something ran in front of me. I'm like, just
Mhm.
like this, like you see how, just like that, okay. And I caught it, and now my
Yeah.
phone's jacked up.
Yeah, I actually have that picture here, and let me
Yep.
see. I want to make sure. Okay, this I can't remember. Is this picture the before or the after? That's the after, right?
Go ahead and pull it up. Let's look at it. If you got any more pictures, we can
Can
pull
you
up
can
all
you
the pictures.
can you see it? It should be up on your screen.
I don't see it.
Okay, hold
I
on.
don't see it.
I don't know why y'all can't see it.
Yes, okay. That's one, but it looks like, okay, you see how it's, if you look at the picture, it looks like something in the middle here is like the weeds here are distorted a little bit. See how
Mhm.
they're clear, then they're distorted, then they're clear again?
Mhm.
That's where it's at. It was running through like that.
And then this is the actual. I think it's this one here. That's
Yes.
the actual.
That's it. That's it right there.
Mhm.
So that's it. And I'm gonna show y'all something that what I look at when I see that. Okay, now there's something tall right here that's in front of me. But you look at the very top where the trees are, it
Mhm.
almost looks like there's a mouth or something right there. And it's like two things that I see inside here.
Yep.
But that it looks like it could be the head up top, and then the body or whatever's right here in front of us, you know.
And when you sent me that, I did an outline of the blurred picture,
Right.
and this is what I
Yeah.
came up with.
Yes, exactly. That's it
Yeah.
right there.
And
Kind of a weird shape, but you know what?
yeah,
They can
yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows,
Who
man?
knows?
Man,
It's just and this picture, y'all, from 1 second from this picture to
that
that picture,
that's it.
it's a second, if not less. It's
Right.
as quick as you can hit the snap button on your phone.
Yep.
That's how fast those pictures are, and you can see from one frame to the next, it's not there.
Yeah.
So
And you can see how thick it is in there too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Very,
Yeah.
very thick.
Yeah,
Very, very thick.
you got some more pictures. Let's talk about some
Oh, I
more
do.
pictures.
I do.
Yeah,
Actually,
let's start showing some. I
the
think this
one. Let's see.
it's pretty interesting.
Where is that?
Let's give them the shot if to see if we can pull it up the one where I showed you where the dog man and the Bigfoot are together. when I'm sitting in the stand. You got that one? Probably a while back.
Yeah, I don't know if I got that one loaded up. I do got this one loaded up though, the one you sent me just a few days ago.
Okay, that one. Okay, yeah, you can see there's something right where you got it outlined right there. There's something
Yeah,
you got it circled and
yeah,
all
and
that right
and,
there.
and
So
this is a thermal image. I put a thermal what do you call it in Adobe. I put a thermal spectrum to it, and this is what it come up with. Now this is what the picture actually looked like. I lightened it up here to where you could see the dark masses, and you can see the head right there in the middle. You see the yellow circle, and then you see white in the middle, and then I kind of deleted some of the background to kind of define the head, and that's what I had come up with the putting all these little spectrums of light to it. This is the thermal shot, and that's actually, you could tell the dark heat in there. That's actually something sitting there looking at you.
so if you look right under steam yard, directly under steam yard, can you make out
Mhm.
that face right there? That's a pretty good dog man right there.
Yeah, that's a really dark spot,
Yep.
really dark spot. It's almost similar to the left or the right side face of the middle picture.
Yep.
It's throwing off a lot of heat,
Yep.
throwing off a lot of heat.
And you can
And
almost make out the snout coming down and the eyes. You see how the one eye is prevalent on the left hand side of the picture and on the right side?
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you don't have the other one that's clear with this one, right? Because I was going to show them what's actually what.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
All right.
But
But
yeah,
that's to the
that
under stream yard. That's definitely a dog man right there.
yeah, definitely. And it's, you can see it's crazy what these thermal spectrums will do, because if it was just a bush or a tree, they usually throw off the same hue of light in the thermal. Like, take for instance, on the right side, you see that foliage, and it's pretty much all the same color, little light. Well, you got these darker hues on this head, and then right in the middle, the forehead, down the snout, it lightens up. The left side by the ear, it lightens up a little bit. So that's definitely a living creature sitting there, and it's just an amazing catch, quite honestly. Amazing catch. It's something. It's one of the better pictures I've seen in a good little while. And then there's
It
let's
was funny.
see.
That was taken with iPhone. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's nothing
yeah,
special. It's just an
yeah.
iPhone.
And
And I,
then this
you
is
know,
this is one of the best pictures I think you've sent me. And this is when you and I first got together, started talking. You sent me this.
oh yeah. So this one right here was taken, and I was working on my property and walked to the edge of the woods, and I felt something there. When I say I felt something like a presence, I said, "Ooh, that's just feels like somebody's watching me."
Yeah,
Well, I actually sent this off to someone, and they sent this back to me, and I said, "Look, I know something's there, and I think I see some stuff in here. Could you clarify that for me?" And they sent this back to me.
yeah. That's
Here's one thing about it. Is sometimes if you don't have the talent, send it to somebody else has got a better talent than you do. Don't
yeah,
be so prideful that I know everything. No, I don't know everything. I'm still trying to learn myself. That's why I hook up with people like you, and I start you know talking to people and start learning all this stuff.
yeah,
How do I pick out the one with the blue arrow? That's definitely a Bigfoot. These other creatures down here, I have no idea what that stuff is.
yeah. Right.
I don't know what that is. Like dog man, like something else. I mean, I have no idea what that stuff is. It's pretty creepy though.
Yeah, most definitely it is. That's yeah. I There's definitely something there watching you.
Oh yeah,
I'm
and you can
not
feel it.
surprised.
When I
Yeah.
say feel it, what's funny is I've tried this more than once. Okay, I've snuck up on people before and just stood there and look at them. They turn around. You feel people looking at you.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Just think about six or
you know.
seven dogmen and a Bigfoot looking at you.
Oh
You
yeah.
if you
I'm
don't
like,
feel that, man, that's
well,
just
what in the
that.
world is that? And I just start taking pictures, and I'm like, okay, something's here. Let me just start taking some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
If you got the
Most
one
definitely.
with the footprint that I sent you, it should be in that pine
Uh,
straw.
I I don't have it loaded.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of time to load a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
since it was so short notice with me and
Yeah.
her thing going on. But I did load up a couple of mine that I got back in September.
Right.
I want to say here's
Yep.
one of them,
Yep.
and
That's
this
definitely.
and this one was low to the ground.
Wow.
I actually seen that booger move, and he's got a little bit of, I don't know if it's,
I could see the mouth, the nose, and the two eyes.
yeah, I don't know if it's like hair that's on his snout or maybe it's something else. But
I know. I
and
think
these,
personally, it's just like a person who has a big nose.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they got people
yep,
like we got smaller noses. Some people have a large nostril there. Am I
yeah,
saying that right? A nose, nostril, whatever.
nose nostril, yeah,
Yeah, and then they have big openings there.
yeah,
And I've heard of people saying this before, where they were actually open up their mouth and taste the air and actually smell.
yeah. I've heard that
Like
too.
I'm like, oh my god! I said that's creepy as
Yeah,
all get out.
and
Like they taste in the air. And do they taste for fear? Hey,
you never know. And what's crazy about this picture and the next two, this picture and the next two I'm fixing to show you. I got those three pictures, and I like I told you, I did it. I went in there and I did I did 3 3-minute videos, and I do them in 3 3-minute videos or 3-minute videos because iPhone, they take so long to load if you go past 3 minutes into the
Right.
cloud and into your computer. So I limit it to 3 minutes. So the first 3 minutes, and y'all, everybody watching, you go onto my YouTube, that entire investigation's on my channel. I posted it a few weeks back, and it's got arrows and still shots of everything that I've seen, unless I missed something, which it's a possibility. But I did get some good pictures. This is the second one. And if you look right in the middle, you could see like the dark mass of the eyes, and then it come around and go down to the
Hmm.
snout, and it's dark, and then the
Yeah,
forehead's a little bit lighter.
I see it now.
And he was just sitting there. I actually seen him at a distance. That's why everything's so blurry, because they were all at a distance. And I usually use a monocular that attaches to my phone. Well, that day I was just out there to fill up my feeder, check the battery. My son was, let's go walk in the woods. All right, so
What's
I just
Look at
pulled up my phone.
bottom left hand corner? What's that? Looks like two eyes at an angle. Can you see that? See
I
it? It's
see
kind of
it.
like
I see it.
looks like could be something there. Could be.
Yeah.
I always look for eyes when I'm looking at
Yeah.
pictures. I look for the brow. It's got the wide brow
Mhm.
on it. I see the cone head, and I see two eyes there, and part of a nose. Okay, is what I see.
Yeah, it could be. I
I
didn't
mean,
put,
it could
I
be a
didn't,
young one, and right
yeah,
above that, you go up. Looks like another something else right there too.
yeah.
But first thing I look for is eyes. I start looking for eyes. Look for two dark spots, because you know what? You can't hide the eyes. They're always going to be there.
No, you can't. And
There's
I
some
know,
other researchers I've seen that at night they have the white eyes, and you see them blink.
yeah.
I've seen
And
that before.
yeah, and I didn't have a chance to put these through any spectrums like I did yours.
Yeah,
Hunting season was starting. I had to get
right.
feeder, fence, and everything ready, so I just didn't have time to mess with it. I'll probably do that probably tomorrow when I go to work and not do nothing. Hopefully. Um,
Hey, you got a lot of stuff
here,
going on in that picture though.
here's another one. If you watch the video on my channel, as soon as I walk in, because I go in like right there where my feeder is, and as soon as I get on the trail, I start panning real slow, and then about a few seconds in, you'll see an arrow pop up, and he's sitting right there at a distance. You can see him; he's real dark, and you can
Hmm.
faintly see him move, and that's what caught my eye. And when I blew the picture up, that's what I got. And he's pretty dark mass. He looks thick.
Looks like he got
And
a goatee. Does it look
damn
like
near,
that to you?
yeah. Yeah, he
Look.
was pretty thick. He was sitting there just watching, and okay, whatever, man. As long as you don't bother me, I ain't gonna bother you. But
How far away was that?
I'm gonna say
Looked like a good ways away, 75 yards, something like that.
about 70, 75 yards.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
At most 80. But
Right, right.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
he was. They were all a pretty good distance off, and they were all across the creek. All across the creek. There, I never catch any on the feeder side of the creek. They're always across the creek. And when I shot my second doe during archery, I had to walk across that creek, and this was in the morning. And man, I tell you what, dude, I had goosebumps the entire time I was across the creek because it. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just something about across the creek because you cross the creek and you go another 100, 125 yards and there's that big reservoir
right.
and it's
They love water. They love
they
clean
love water.
water. Clean
Yep.
water, creeks, springs. Anybody that's got clean water. If you got clean water, they're going to be there. Promise you. They're going to be around clean water. They're going to be around a food source, white oaks. Somebody's got a garden. They'll come at night, take stuff out of the garden, cucumbers, tomatoes, okra.
Yep.
They eat my cousin's okra out of his garden, okay? Turnips. They love turnips. They love mustard greens, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah. Most definitely. They definitely eat a lot of food. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Now this one, I've showed this before, but I don't know if I showed you this one. This was back in when was it? I want to say back maybe April or May. And this is when I caught a dogman and a Bigfoot on my property at the same time, about 70 yards apart. And there's the dogman, German Shepherd looking. And he was actually up in a tree behind all that foliage.
Good
And
Lord.
I seen him through my binoculars plain as day, dude. It was like it blew up. That binocular blew it up. I could see his entire head in the viewfinder of my phone, and I was showing my son, look there, look at that, we got one. There he is. And I just watched him, and he was just sitting there like not a worry in the world. What was crazy about it, as I was looking, my son had my AR, and he lifted the rifle to look through the optic. And when he did, he said that son of a gun turned his head, and I looked, and his head had moved. So he knew what the rifle was. He moved its head, and
Oh, they know what
yeah,
guns are. Definitely know what
yeah.
guns are.
And then so from there we walked about 70 yards down the trail, and I was this was before I started videoing. I was snapshotting, and I caught this.
Oh yeah.
And that was through the binocular because you could see the rounded edges. And he was a good ways off. He was probably about 80, 90 yards off across the creek. And I just so happened to catch him. And you can see the cone-shaped head. You can see the brow ridge, the nose, maybe the corner of the mouth. Looks like he's got a high cheekbone. So, yeah, he was just sitting there.
Is he looking? Can you put it back up a second? Is he looking toward? Like he's looking toward the left of the picture? Is that what it's doing?
It kind of looks like he was maybe moving and squatted down to look back towards me.
Okay.
Because we were making a bunch of noise that day. I mean, I didn't, we were just walking through, trying to hurry up and, do a little filming and snapshotting and get out of there. And that's what we ended up with.
Okay, look just to the right of your orange circle. To me, it looks like another face.
Right on the other side of that tree trunk.
Yes. You see that?
Yeah, sure does.
It's like two slanted eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Mouth's kind of open a little bit. Maybe tasting the air.
Could be, yeah. Could be. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put these through some thermal, and yeah, that could be a face. Most definitely could be a face. I know the one inside the circle though is a definite that. Yeah, he got caught. He definitely got caught. And that picture and this picture was taken just a few minutes apart. A few minutes apart and about 70 yards.
Yeah, like I said,
I walked 70 yards, and
right.
Then he was about 80 or 90 yards. The Bigfoot was, so they're probably further than that. But I walked 70 yards.
To me, it's like they don't cloak. They don't always cloak their eyes.
No, I don't think they do.
You see them cloaking, but they always. I don't know what it is about the eyes, but that's the first thing I look for is when I start looking at pictures, or I'm looking in the woods or something. I think it is, and I take a picture of it or something. I always look for something that looks like eye shine, or something that looks like a set of eyes. That's what I go for. Every time.
Yep, and I've never had anything try to mind speak telepathically to me out
Hmm.
there. Um, and I don't care for it to happen, but I've always wondered, and I've heard a few people say when they mind speak to you or speak to you telepathically, which is what I like to use the term, um, that and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I know you've had it happen to you, that they speak to you in your voice. How true is that?
Not in my voice. They speak to me in English, but it's okay. How do I compare this to? For those people who have a religious background that have a relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
that pray, that hear from God, like that.
Okay.
So have you ever prayed and like you hear you just hear an audible voice from God? That's what it's like. So
Okay.
me and my wife are born again Christians. Um, could be another thing to it is that I would go in the woods, read my Bible. I had a little pocket Bible I'd keep with me, and I'd read it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Sometimes I'd read out loud. Sometimes I would go in there, and at the time I was single, so I would pray for the next year, what's coming up. Ask God to bless my hunt, bless my year, and maybe they're attracted to that.
Yeah.
You know,
I,
but to hear it in your mind, I mean, it's clear. It's just like I'm talking to you right now, and is it my voice? It's just a voice. It's just
okay.
it wasn't particular. Now I'm gonna tell you something else that I've heard before too. And this is strange. I've had one of them speak to me in French before.
Oh wow. That
That
not too surprising with you being in
Yeah,
Louisiana.
yeah. And so I had one, and I'm trying to remember exactly where that was at. But yeah, it came to me and spoke to me in French, and I'm like, uh, I don't. I said, well, I don't understand French, as I speak a little bit, but I said, try to talk to me some more. But I guess they didn't want to waste his time, and it moved on. Do I have
Oh,
psychic abilities? Well, um, I have a good intuition. Do I say I'm a psychic? I don't know about psychic, but I am a born again Christian. So I do hear from God if I pray. Sometimes I hear from God. Depends on what you call psychic. Do I know things are going to happen? Yes. I do have an ability to know some things that happen in the future, and they do usually do happen. Do I have dreams at night? Yes. Do they come true? Yes. That's happened before too.
wow.
So
That's crazy.
yeah. So I have had dream things before, and some of them bad, some of them good. But yeah, I have dream, and it's like I'll dream about somebody I hadn't seen in a long time, and all of a sudden next week here I am. I'm seeing them like, wow,
Yep.
I ain't seen you in a long time, and all of a sudden they come back to me like deja vu. Whoa, wait a minute, I just seen you somewhere. What I see him? Oh, I seen him in a dream. Yes, multi times that's happened, a lot of times.
Yeah. There's, I've talked to a few people who have dreamed of something coming in their house,
Hmm.
um, sitting
Oh,
there talking to them. Then they wake up the next morning. They have either like a hand mark, a
uh-huh.
scratch.
That's
It could be spiritual.
okay.
It's
So people ask me before. This other people ask me these questions. Have I seen orbs before? Yes. Have I seen portals? Yes. Have I seen have I had dreams about them before at night? Yes. I have dreamed about them before. Okay. Um have you dreamed about aliens before? Yes. Now this is gonna blow you away. I dreamed I drove a spaceship one time, and it was kind of like a Star Wars, like the Rebel spaceship, something similar to it. And I was
mhm.
actually flying that before, so I dreamed that. So and actually,
Wow.
I was pretty good driving too. I thought that was pretty funny.
Right.
I woke up going,
Right.
"Wait a minute! I never drove this thing before." But that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
Actually, go
portal.
ahead.
Let me talk about portals for a second, okay? And what I seen. I seen a portal in my house, and it was bigger than this, but it was white. It was bright, bright, bright white.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, it just went whoosh, just like this and closed up. Now I have seen UFOs. Um, One time, this was many years ago when I was younger. Went to the beach with a group. of people, and it was actually a Christian group. And we were sitting there on the beach, and we seen this thing fly over. And some people said it was like a meteor or something, but it was too low, and
Right.
it was green. It was actually green, and to me it looked like a spaceship. So I've seen that. Now the recent ones I've seen, and this is pretty cool. The recent one we seen, me and my wife, right after Hurricane Ida came through. We were sitting outside, and it was actually cool outside. So we said, "So let's go outside and sit. It's too hot in the house and everything. So go out there and sit for a little while." So we just sitting out there in the chairs, you know, and just enjoying the evening, all looking at the stars. And of course, everybody's generators running. You know, you got generators all over the place running. But the stars, man, the stars are absolutely beautiful. So I was looking at up, and I said, look up there, and I said, the way you look for these UFOs is you look for, you ever, you know what an LED looks like at your house? You know, it's a round
Mm-hmm.
bulb. It has that white look to it.
Mm-hmm.
Look for that in the sky, okay?
Yeah.
So we see one coming from the south, and it's coming at us. So I start talking to it. I said, hey, I see you. All of a sudden, that thing, the LED light part of it went off, and all I seen was like a crawfish burner. You know, like you have a crawfish burner, and you have the blue flame and the white.
Mhm.
It was doing like a circle like this, and it came right at us. And I said, I still see you. I see you right there. And I went to the west and went towards your way over there in
Yeah.
Texas. I said, check that out. My wife's like going,
Uh,
I started dying laughing. I said, see? I said, that's real. I said, what
yeah.
do you think about that one? She goes, oh my God. She got up out of the chair. She goes, okay, I think I'm going back in now.
I actually have a 25-second video that I took with my phone. I was at work one day, and we had just come back from a call, and I'm going into the station, and this is just a habit for me ever since I've been going in the woods. I always look up,
Yeah.
and I just look
Oh,
up
yeah.
at the sky, and I happen to see this metallic object.
Uh-huh.
And I can probably I got the video. I could probably load it up here in a few minutes, but it's 25 seconds long, and I see it, and I'm like, is that what I think it is? And there's no sound. There's no sound.
Right. No sound. None.
So I take
When they come
off.
out, there's no sound at all.
I take off from the back of the main building where our station is. I go around to the front parking lot, pull out my phone, I start videoing, and you can see it. It's just cruising very slow.
Yeah.
And it just cruises until you just can't see it no more. Gone.
Wow.
And I got it. It's about 25 seconds long. I don't know how good you'd be able to see it, but I can load that bad boy up here in just a minute. But it was just floating.
So the way I learned out about the UFOs is somebody else taught me that, and they were in the military, and again we was with another church group, and we was to have a little retreat weekend, you know. So this guy, he said he used to be in the military, and so he said, and he's the one that taught me how to look for them. I said, well, that looks like stars. He said, no, I don't look for a star. It's too bright. He said, look for something that's more dull, you know. So I think it was last hunting season or before. It was 2 seasons ago. So I went up there and I was talking to my cousins, Jim, and I said, and then one of them just came up to me and said, he said, Scott, he said, guess what we seen the other night? I said, what? He said, we had a big old campfire going and seen like these lights in a row just going across the sky. I said, wow. I said, what did it look like? And we both started looking up. He said, look like that one over there. I said, whoa, look at that. All of a sudden, as soon as he said that, this light goes across the sky like this. It's like an LED light, like you're looking at your light bulb, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Goes across, and then a flash. And that was it.
Wow. That's crazy.
So to me, I think that was one going through a portal or something, you know.
Yeah, most definitely could
And
have
I
been.
said, man, this is cool. And so what was really cool was right after, you know, Hurricane Ida, we were sitting outside. I knew what to look for. So I just started going outside, I started looking for them, you know, just sitting down. And there it was. And sure enough, it just come right at us. I started talking to it. And when I started
Right?
talking to it, the thing changed from a light bulb to a crawfish burner. You know, the bottom of it's just like a really beautiful blue white, you know,
Yeah.
and it's almost making a circular motion, but not really. And it looks like a donut, just like a donut, you know, like that donut shape. And it comes at us, goes to the 45, and then it goes directly west. Pew, just gets out of here.
All right, we got another question. This is one I was gonna subject I was gonna ask you about here in a few minutes, but we're gonna go into it now so I can find that UFO video to show y'all.
Okay.
And from Steve Riley, one of my moderators.
What I think of Rougarou. Yep, Rougarou is definitely real. and it is definitely in Louisiana, South Louisiana for sure. And there are videos out there of them, and that is definitely a dog man, a Rougarou.
So what are the legends of the Rougarou? What the most typical legends? What do you know about the
Well,
Rougarou?
there's a loop guru and a Rougarou. One is a male or one's the female. I want to say Rougarou is the female and a loop guru is a male. But it's
Yeah,
like a dog man. Is basically what it is. But they say they came from, I don't know, when the boats came over a long time ago. They came over from Europe, you know.
yeah,
But they're definitely in South Louisiana swamps and stuff. I mean, there's videos out there with people fishing and stuff, especially at night, and they show the yellow eyes and stuff out there. I actually have a video of that. And there's a guy, I want to say around, it would be west of New Orleans, between New Orleans and Homa,
yeah.
and that's where it's at. It's out in that area. I want to say Dulac. Is that right? I want to say it's Dulac. Maybe it's where it's at. But this guy,
Yeah, I think I've
and
heard
and
of Dulat. Yeah,
and this guy's out there bow fishing at night. You know, they show him bow fishing and stuff like that. They shooting fish in the water and stuff like that. And he goes, talks about, yeah, I just want to show y'all the Rougarou. And he said it's out here. And so all of a sudden they show these reeds or this grass is really really tall, and this thing's got his head above it. He looks just like a big old German Shepherd
yeah.
type head, and you can see the eyes. The eyes are yellow, really really bright, pointy yellow eyes.
Wow, that's crazy.
And you know, some people down here they just accept that. You know, it's just there. You don't fool with them, they don't fool with you. You know, people been in their houseboats before. They've had Bigfoot walk up on them. They've had, you know, Rougarou come out, and sometimes they think the people could be a Rougarou. They change, you know, from a person to a Rougarou. I don't know about all that, but that's just legend. Yeah, you talk about
Yeah,
legend. So
you hear a lot of that in Cajun folklore. That
yeah,
if like somebody's bitten by one, then you turn into the Rougarou, and then so
right.
forth and so forth.
I think
I've heard that a lot.
I think if they bite you, they're gonna eat you. You ain't gonna make it
Yeah,
past
that's
that. You're gonna be a meal. So
that's what I think about a dog, man. Same thing. They want to
yeah,
eat you. They're going to eat you.
yeah.
A guy from Kentucky who was on Vic Cundiff's show. He was on episode 263. It's probably the greatest dog man encounter I've ever heard. He actually ran across one raccoon hunting.
Wow.
Sent out his raccoon dogs. They started treeing some raccoons. Next thing you know, coyotes start come attacking his dog. There's actually two dogs. One of them was the younger dog, took off. He I guess you want to say, I guess he was
Just
some
left
type
the
of a
area.
cur dog, and he got
Yeah.
bit. He took off. The other one is this dog named Jake. He was a what do they call a blue tick?
Yeah.
Something of the sort. And he started putting it to the coyotes, man. They jumped him, put it to him. And this guy, Kyle, was about 100, 200 yards behind him, you know, trying to catch up. And he was out there with a 22.
Oh my God.
And so
Yeah.
the coyote started putting it to his dog. He's like, oh man, I got to get over there. He's going to die. Next thing you know, he hears the coyotes hollering, screaming. He's like, all right, tide his turn. Jake got him on the run. So he's running, and he figured that his other dog came back to help his other dog. When he cut the corner of this tree, he said he seen, and we drew a description of what he described to us of what this dog man looked like. And he said that it was jet black. It was on all fours when he seen it, and it had a coyote in its mouth. He was on all fours. Coyote was in his mouth, neck kind of up. He said he had it by the chest. There was blood dripping down, and the coyote was still alive. He was like eating it alive. And
Wow.
when he ran up on this thing, it dropped that coyote, and he said the race was on. He said it come after him. He took off. His dog hit the dog man. Dog man shucked it off, took off. He said that the dog man was so close he could feel the breath on the back of his neck. That's how close
Holy
he was.
mackerel.
He said
Wow.
his dog hit that dog man 4 times. 4 times before the dogman flung him through the low-lying trees. He said in one of those, I want to say maybe it was the 3rd time he hit, he said he grabbed that dogman by the thigh really good and was able to get him on the ground. And when he did, he bit him in the hand, and he heard that dogman yelp.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's an incredible story.
And man, I talked to this guy 3 or 4 different times, and his story never, ever, ever changed. Not one little detail.
That's why I say when
And
you go hunting in the woods, you got to armor up, man. You've got to get you something.
absolutely.
You better get you a knife, like a Bowie knife. You better get you a sidearm. And if you want to go, a little 22 or something like that, and go coon hunting, go ahead. But you better have some 22 hollow points. I'm
Yeah.
not going there with just a full metal jacket,
No,
or a lead tip. I'm going with some hollow points.
Yeah. And I took your advice, 35 caliber bigger, and that's why I bought that 350 Legend, just for that purpose. 10-inch barrel, and
Well, the gun I bought, so it's a 30-06, so it's a big gun. I went bigger.
Yeah.
I only go 30 caliber now. That's it.
Yeah.
Anything 30 caliber. 300 blackout, 7.62 by 39, 308, 30-06.
Big
I'm
boom
staying
stick.
with that. I'm not going in the woods with anything less than that.
Yeah.
People talk about going in the woods with AR-15s. I've heard too many military stories where people shoot these things and they just keep on flying.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Al was like, let's see. Al put, Scott, if you want to PM me on Monday, I'll tell you why you have so many experiences. Yeah. Al, man, I'll be
glad to talk to you. Al, if you got time this weekend, I can talk to you this weekend if you like. I'd be glad to talk to you on the phone, which is cool.
Yeah, Al's got a lot of knowledge. Of knowledge, man. I've sent him some pictures, and if you want the truth, he's gonna give you the truth.
Yeah.
If you got any kind of evidence, he'll definitely give you some truth. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and we talked about it the other day. There's a video out there, and I know y'all have seen it. And the reason why I'm bringing this back up is because it came back up again recently. And apparently there is some sort of a difference to this video that somebody just shared. I don't know if it's the original owner, but I'm going to play the video for y'all. And this is, if you've watched a few of my podcasts before, I'll put up some of NVTV stuff or whoever, and, we'll watch it and say, what do y'all think? Is this real? Is this not? Well, I showed this video before. Matter of fact, it was when it was me, Paul, B, and Tom when we did a evidence revealing review, and I showed about 8 videos. This was one of them. It was kind of half and half. A lot of people discredit this video. I've seen some minor differences. The only reason I've seen them is because I put it into Adobe and gone a 1/4 second frame at a time, and I could see a lot of stuff that you can't see while watching the video run through real time. So I'm going to play this for y'all. Y'all check it out. And then after that, we'll take any comments or questions or what y'all think about it. All right. And here we go. So that video's come up for one particular reason. Again, um, when I came across it, a lot of people were saying this was recorded through a rifle scope, and that you can see the reticle. Of course, obviously, in that video, you can't see a reticle. It's just like when I record with my scope. Now, this may be, it could be through, let's say, you can get an attachment from Tacticam that attaches to the scope as a secondary device, and then it'll film through the scope with some sort of attachment on the eyepiece. You should still be able to see the reticle. The video that popped up the other day, actually, you could see in the still shot, there was a reticle. Now, that leads me to believe that that may have been photoshopped with the reticle. Now, that's not to discredit that this ain't a legit Dogman, because when I broke this video down a few months ago, quarter second frame at a time, if you look close, you could see the left side top lip curl up and curl down. And that was one of the subtle differences I seen that no one else could see, because they didn't go quarter second frame at a time. Now, does that mean it's real? Maybe, maybe not. Another thing someone else said was that in an animal like that, typically a canine, if they're startled, they're going to turn and their ears are going to perk up. They're not going to open their mouth. Well, quite honestly, to me, a Dogman is not a typical canine. They, you know, if you listen to Melba Ketchum, you know, they're half human, half canine hybrids. You know, when humans are startled, what happens? Their mouth opens, they turn, or, you know, anything can happen. You know, everybody's different, but to me, I'm still on the fence, 50-50. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. The only thing that gets me to believe that this could be real is that the upper lip curls up and then goes back down. A lot of people have tried to discredit this, saying how close, you can't get that close to a Dogman. Well, if you're not a hunter, you probably won't know this, but when you sit in a tree stand, or if you hunt on the ground outside of a stand, you sit up against the tree. A lot of these hunters learn how to be still and how to be quiet, especially if you hunted for years. And trust me, it's just like all these other encounters that people had. Like Bear was sitting in a tree when he had his first encounter, and it went 30, 40, 50 yards right in front of him. Never seen him. Didn't see him until it turned around and it caught his attention, and then it growled at him.
I'd say another thing, if they don't smell you, you know, a lot of those creatures that, if they don't smell you or don't see you, if you're camouflaged enough, they don't always smell you. I mean, if you have, that's why when we go in, we always take a bath and everything and wash our hair and everything with unscented soap.
Unscented soap, yep.
Okay, and then at times we will cover spray with certain things like maybe apple spray or vanilla, something like that. But if they smell something like that, then yeah. But if you just go in and just take a good shower and all that, don't eat a lot of spicy foods and stuff like that. Don't eat anything. Don't chew any bubble gum or anything like that. Don't give them any weird smells. You know, wash your clothes in unscented, soap and stuff. They have laundry detergent for all that. You'll see that in the hunting season. You get that stuff. You wash all your clothes. Any kind of scent that you knock down, they're not going to smell that stuff. You know.
No.
So,
Another thing I noticed in that video, if you watch the leaves, whoever was filming that, the leaves are blowing towards them. So he was upwind, not downwind. So they're not going to smell you that easy.
No,
they're going to smell what's coming from the opposite end, not from your direction coming toward them. So that's another possibility. So
Yeah.
is it real? I don't know. If they hoaxed it, it's a damn good hoax,
Yeah.
honestly. But to me, I reviewed this thing for about 2 hours one night, going quarter-second frame at a time, back and forth, and you can definitely see the curl of the lip go up. So
Yeah.
that's kind of pushing me kind of to believe that this may be real. And Katie barred the door, man. I'd have had something brown running down my leg if I'd have been that guy, because whoo,
Yeah.
that thing looked gnarly.
So I see somebody talking about women going out during hunting season, and I'm trying to approach this lightly on their menstrual cycle.
Right.
That's being professional, okay? So I know for a fact a story that I was told by someone else and with pictures. And what happened was this man and lady were walking in the woods, in the forest and everything, and a Bigfoot started following them. Well, she was on her menstrual cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and they took pictures. And this thing, when I say followed them through the woods until they got to their car, so close that the last picture they took, you could see the whole picture of this Bigfoot. And one of the pictures, you could see, uh,
The genitalia.
well, I'm trying to keep it professional, uh, the manhood of the Bigfoot.
Oh, I've got that picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I've
sent you
got
that
that
one
picture.
too. So
Yep.
you know that story. So I mean, yes, most definitely they can smell women in the woods, and especially that time of the month and all that. So
So I'll see if I can pull it up here. So just to give y'all a heads up, our next guest is going to be Ode Bear from Ode Bear's Den of Bigfoot. He called me wanting to do an interview. I said, okay. I interviewed Ode Bear back in May. Um, we went through his 5 types of Bigfoot, what he calls the 5 types. He did go into some detail about um, women going into the woods. One of the things that he mentioned is hair color. Um, the most prominent
hmm
hair color he mentioned was blonde. He says if you have a wife, a girlfriend, you know there's Bigfoot activity, you don't want to take her into the woods if she has blonde hair or red hair. And he says the reason why is they are attracted to those 2 types. It's just like children. He said from his data, the children that have been most taken have been blonde haired kids. Now, whether it's been by Bigfoot or not, I don't know. That's for him to answer. But, blonde haired kids, redheaded children are the second. Same with women. And that they will, and this is not to get vile or vulgar, but they will procreate with these women. So that's just Bigfoot. He's what do they call it? What's the word I'm looking for? God darn it. Let's see. Here's the picture right here. I can't think of the word, but he most definitely has a lot of knowledge. He has actually been through some wild encounters. Gugway, Janoskwa. Um, if y'all have a chance to get on his Discord, I recommend it because on Saturday nights he'll go on his Discord and he'll talk about some stories that he's encountered. And man, they'll make you think twice.
pretty
I tell you.
hair. They
Yeah,
will make you think. I
yeah,
mean, since I've been on Discord with them, I've been listening to them, and I have really been watching myself now.
yeah.
When I say careful, I'm careful now, and I make sure that when we go in the woods, that I go in the woods hunting and stuff, I make sure I have a gun with me at all times.
Absolutely. Because this, you hear Obear talk. controversial is what I'm trying to find. The word I was looking for. He's real. A lot of people call him controversial because he does speak of what he encountered, and a lot of this stuff he has encountered. I know back in August, I was talking to him, and he was getting ready to go into the Daniel Boone to handle a Gugway problem. He wasn't too sure how that was going to come out, and then here just recently, about no more than a month and a half ago, he went and helped a friend with a Janosqua problem, which a Janosqua, you run up on one of those, you're not going to come out. And Old Bear's, he knows a lot of tricks to the trade. He knows how to get rid of them. If you ever have a problem, he may not come to your house and help you, but he can tell you how to get rid of them. He's well versed on how to get rid of these creatures.
Yeah. Lights work, cameras work. They don't like lights. They
No.
don't like lights in their eyes. So if you have a problem with something like that, make sure you get your LED lights. Make sure you have bright lights. Get your, we call them Q-beam here,
Mm-hmm.
and get you a bright light, shine in their eyes, get them out of there. Just that way they won't bother you no more.
Here's a picture. Here's a picture, y'all, of what Scott was talking about just a little while ago about the woman being on her menstrual cycle. Here's the pic. Okay, you'd have to blow it up, but if you look real close, you can see the manhood on this thing sticking straight down. And if you look up into where the leg meets the crotch, you can actually see it. And it's right there, and that's the picture he's talking about. That's pretty gnarly.
So the guy that told me that story told me that thing was he was ready. That's all I can say. Be professional.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as professional as I can, but this is really not a funny topic. It's not funny. I mean, you can get hurt in the woods. I know of another lady that told me a story about in Tennessee that there was a young girl that got attacked by a Bigfoot and actually had to go into the hospital mentally for a while.
Yeah.
And so it's you gotta be careful. Just gotta be careful. You know, there's Bigfoot activity. Be careful because people say, "Oh, I don't believe in all that stuff." Let me tell you something. Whew, it's bad.
They're definitely out there. They're definitely out there. Have the
Stay
picture
armed up.
Yep.
Get your cameras out. Make sure.
Yep. The picture I showed earlier off my property proves it right there, Dave.
Yeah.
You can probably get better, but at what cost? That right there is a perfect example. They exist.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Any kind of lights in your yard and stuff like that you can put up, like you have them out in the yard to where when they walk past the lights, that motion detecting lights, they'll come on. That deters them too.
Oh, most definitely.
Every time you see a Bigfoot encounter with a deer camera, they tearing that sucker up every daggum time. You'll hardly ever see one that's got a face stuck up in the camera unless it's a young one or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, they get mad, they scream. You can hear them. Like if you have voice activated ones, noise activated ones, they'll scream at the camera and stuff like that. You hear that, you see that. I've seen so many things. I heard people told me stories about it. I said, man, never did see it, but my God, but it was screaming at the camera. I'm like, you got a problem. You got something there.
I actually caught one off my trail cam, a vocalization. I think I had sent it to you. I had set my Tacticam to every time I took a picture, it would take about a 10-second video. And damn, if you need a damn big SD card for that, and it wears out that 16 gig I got. But I actually caught one, the cow's at my feeder, and then you can just hear, and it sounded like it's behind it in the woods. You could just hear and it just, I had a few people tell me, oh, that's a fox. I've heard a deer sounded like that. So I started researching, I've heard deer blow. I've never heard them do that. Somebody said it was probably a fox. So I started researching fox sounds. Couldn't come to nothing close to that. So what it was, I don't know. It was definitely different. I tried to load it up tonight, but the sound wouldn't load on it for some reason. I don't know why. But I do got one, and I know Al's pretty interested to hear this one. This is one I got back in, I want to say, September. Again, me and my son, and I think that's the common denominators. Every time my son is with me, my oldest son, we get lots of activity. And this is the one where I started recording on my night vision. It was in daytime mode, and I just hit the button. As soon as I hit the button, I never heard it with my ears, but I hit the button, and when I reviewed the footage off the scope, I actually caught it. So I'm gonna play it. Listen real close. You may have to turn it up a little bit, but I'll play it a couple of times if y'all miss it. So check it out. Here it is. It's about 5 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
Here. All right, one more time. Yeah, I never heard it with my ears.
That's unusual sound.
Yeah. Yeah, very.
Almost. I'm trying to think. I don't know. It's a weird sound.
Yeah.
Very, very, very different.
Yeah, and I've caught that sound a few times. I actually caught that sound once back in April. Me and my son went and did a morning investigation, and we got into the woods at 6 in the morning. It was still dark, and I got that loaded up on my channel too. And by God, if we didn't catch something that was a lot closer than that to us, and it startled the hell out of us.
What time
Really.
of day was that?
That was about an hour before dark.
Yeah. So a lot of activity I've been involved in is right before dark. I mean, that
Yeah.
sun is. You ever seen when the sun goes down behind the trees and it starts getting dark, and all of a sudden it get bright again, then it starts getting dark? You ever seen that?
Yep. Oh
A
yeah.
lot of hunters will notice that. Okay, and that's the time we get a lot of activity right there. As the sun's going to go down, it'll go behind the trees, and all of a sudden it get bright, and all of a sudden it starts getting dark. That right there is like a pivotal point to where you'll get a lot of a lot of activity going on.
All right. Max Bennett wants to hear it one more time. All right, I'll play it one more time. All right, here we go, Max. Yeah, that's definitely something odd. You can hear it kind of echo too, so you can tell it was at a distance. What it was, I don't know, but I found it definitely weird.
I'm trying to go through my mind and see what it even sounds like. It's almost like a dog. I don't know. It's a weird sound.
Yeah,
I never heard anything like that.
yeah, that's a lot of the weird stuff I'm getting out there,
Yeah.
especially at night. Um, at night, right before dark, and a little into dark, and then around like 6 in the morning when it's still dark. You know, when it gets darker, when it gets daylight around 7:15, from
Hmm.
6 to 7, I get a lot of activity like that too. I actually have that same day, right before it got completely dark, I got a 9-minute video of chatter. Remember how you said about the owls? Owl
Right.
pop off,
Yep.
and then when they did that, another one popped off, and then I started hearing chatter like an owl sounded off, like it was mimicking it, and then it went to some different kind of chatter, and it went on for about a good 6.5 minutes.
You maybe just think about another story. So I was hunting in a box stand, and my cousin was in a climber, and he was on the side of a ridge, and I heard him shoot. So he uh, texted me and said, "Hey, I got the deer." So I said, "Okay, so I'm gonna come around. I'm gonna give you a hand. We'll pull the deer out." So I go toward him on this, fire break that's there. All of a sudden, we start hearing this like mumble jumble noise, chatter. Okay, I call it
Mhm.
chatter. Blah, 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 and it's off in a thicket. And so he says, "Hey," he said, "Man, them dead gum." He said, "Them other hunters that's up in the, all around us, all on lease and everything, and public land and everything." He said, "Yes, they just surrounded us now." And all of a sudden, behind us, like about 50 yards away, I hear a really, really high pitched whistle. Like that. I mean, just I can't whistle. But anyway, I hear this whistle. I'm like, oh crap. It's time to get out of here. So I said,
Yeah.
let's get this deer and get out of here. But it was like there was a group to one side, and then all of a sudden there was another communicating with them. Now I didn't
Mhm.
hear any tree knocks or anything else, but that's what I heard. The chatter.
Yeah.
And it was like blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, and different octaves too.
Mhm.
So you got some low octaves, you got some high octaves, and they were in a thicket over there, some small trees and stuff, you know. And I heard that too.
I got another question from Steve.
So when you encounter them, is there any more noise in the woods? Uh, Most time, no. It's very very quiet. Usually it's real quiet around there. It's funny because you don't see the birds. You got little birds fly around stuff like that. Um, you don't see squirrels run around. You don't see rabbits run around. Nothing. You don't see deer moving. You don't see anything.
I've actually, when me and my son have gone out, and I've noticed this every time we've caught evidence, um, it goes quiet, completely quiet.
Hmm. It's almost
And
like
then,
it ringing in your ear, right?
yeah, you can hear the silence,
Ooh, man, it's
but
like
but
high pitched noise.
there's always one bird who's chip 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 chip, and he's following us
It may not be a
every
bird.
time, every time, every
I don't
time.
think that's a bird. I really don't.
It may not be, but it sounds it's coming from up over the top of us,
They can
and
mimic anything. When I
and
say they can mimic, most
and
definitely they can mimic stuff.
I've looked up, and of course, just because you look up, I mean you're gonna see anything. But I've looked up, not see nothing, but it like that bird's just following, 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 following. And from the moment that we get into the woods, it'll be quiet, just ringing in your ears. You can hear the silence. The next thing you know, chip 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 chip, chip, and it's following you the whole time.
I got one I'll throw at you, okay? And somebody mentioned this to me one time, and this is the reason why I'm going to say this, okay? We had owls come around our house here, and they would come and hoot at us like real owls.
Yeah,
Someone had told me that, and I can't remember who it was, that sometimes Bigfoot would actually use birds to look at you. Have you ever heard that before?
I've never heard that.
Yes. Crows, they'll use crows. They use birds. I mean, I say birds. I mean, they use hawks. What else? Owls for sure. You know, I had, and it's another weird thing that happened to me, and it was a whoop. And this was at my house here, and we live in the suburbs, man. We're out basically. It's not like a subdivision. But we have bigger land than that, but it's wide acres. But um, we're pretty much in neighborhoods. Okay, I got off of work late in the evening time, and it was probably about right at 11 o'clock. I come home, and I got out of my truck. And as soon as I got out of my truck, I heard a whoop. Just that was it,
Yeah,
like, so I turned around, went whoop, what, whoop, and I'm looking around the trees, don't see anything, don't see an owl, don't see anything, but it was a whoop, whoop, deep, whoop, like that, almost like a dog barking at you, but a whoop, and you can hear
yeah,
at the end of it. I'm like, wait a minute, something just whooped at me,
yeah.
and I thought that was pretty cool.
That's you're talking about that. And I got to
That
just
that's
thinking just now.
Yeah,
Um, I can't remember if it's Cherokee legend. It's one of the Native American legends. I can't remember. I have to look it back up. But there is a Bigfoot called the Raven Mocker.
okay, all right,
And now that I got to thinking about it, the Raven Mocker would use a raven
yeah. Raven's
to.
pretty big. You ever seen a big raven before?
I've actually never seen a raven other than on
Jeez.
TV, but
We got some ravens over here. When I say they're big like a hawk.
good night.
I mean, they're big. They're not like a blackbird, smaller
Yeah.
black. These jokers are big. We had them come through before, and I'm like, good night. That's a big raven.
Yeah.
This sucker look. I mean, you're like a big old rooster. Like a
Yeah.
big old rooster would get. You're like as
Yeah.
big as a rooster.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
See, Steve Riley says,
God.
I believe it's Cherokee. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
But yeah, they would use the raven mocker to, I guess, to see whoever is
Yeah.
encroaching on their territory.
Right.
It's Old Bear knows a lot about that. I've studied some of it. There's another one. Oh, the raven mocker also, they say, can mimic human voice. So, like, say if you and I were out in the woods and I went to a deer stand, they said the raven mocker could mimic my voice and talk to
Wow.
you.
Huh.
That's pretty strange.
I've never had that happen to me before. I have had ravens come around. We were hunting before, and of course, blackbirds. They were all around. I call them blackbirds. They're smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know what the term is, whatever they call them, but I have seen ravens before, and these jokers were big. When I say big, it's like
Yeah.
good night.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a big old thing flying through there, and then some of them come land. I'm like, God, oh, this sucker's big, man. Where these things come from? And it's weird because how these birds come right. They know right where you are. They come right up to you. You know what I'm saying? In a tree,
Mhm.
and almost like letting them know where you are.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's see. We got another question. Let's see. Sorry, gotta ask. So Max Bennett wants to know if the women on their menstrual cycle, is it a problem if internal products are worn? Especially some of this new stuff like these reusable cup deals. Sorry guys, I'm medical, nothing off limits in my world. Yeah, same here, Max. Same here. That's a pretty good question.
Lieutenant's kind of like this. All right, this time of year, and I don't know about in Texas, but in Louisiana, is when they call the rut. Okay, the
Yep.
rut zone. All right.
Mm,
You'll see a lot of what they call scrapes on the ground where the bucks will go on there and they'll scrape the ground. You have a big old
yep.
bare spot and they're marking a territory. Well, they're looking for those does, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've heard this before too that you got to be careful with that doe urine that
Yep.
you don't put it on you. Some people say, "Oh man, put it all over your boots when you walk."
Hell
I'm like,
no.
I'm like, I ain't putting that stuff nowhere near me.
Mhm.
Okay, I like somebody talked about putting these pads and stuff. I've seen people they call it a wick, but it looks like a tampon.
Yeah.
And what you do is you wick this thing in that stuff, and you put it away from your deer stand.
Yep.
You don't put it next to you. You
Mm,
put it away because you want
yep.
whatever is coming to it to go over there, not to you.
Yep.
And I have heard stories where the Bigfoot walked right up to these things and was sniffing it. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh my God, bro. I'd be like I'm in a lean tube or a tripod. I would have a heart attack right there just looking at
Yeah.
it.
Most
That would
definitely.
scare me to death.
Yep. And
But
that deer urine is potent stuff. Potent, especially if you get the
yeah,
little bottle where you can pour it. Good
right,
night. That stuff is rank.
right.
It's rank.
Don't make a mistake and spill it on your clothes while you're going in. Everyone, go
No.
get it away from you and put it on the trees and stuff like that, and get it away from you because that's what the deer and stuff are going to go to. But
Yep.
yes, I have heard stories of Bigfoot walking right up to it, smelling it.
Yep. I have to. I actually, an hour before we started, I was getting pictures off my trail cam. I had no deer come to my feeder in about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And it started going off. And there was two bucks. One was an 8-pointer. He would just make the spread. Another one was a spike. And I'm like, son of a gun, dude, I'm at home and they're coming out before dark.
Yeah.
I had sprayed where I got two cameras, like I told you the other day, one facing one side of the feeder and the other one facing toward the other camera to where I can catch the entire area. And this is how good this deer urine works, y'all. I sprayed it on that wooden post where that second trail cam is, and I caught that buck on camera an hour before we started the show, walking up to that post.
Yeah.
So yeah, be careful with that stuff. You're gonna attract whatever's out there. You'll probably attract it.
What have you heard about the lunar cycle? As far as cryptids and stuff like that, like more activity during a full moon than not a full moon.
I've gotten more activity uh, outside of the full moon rather than with the full moon.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, basically we had I think it was a full moon. I think it was full moon 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was,
It was.
and that's when we got screamed at.
Hmm.
So we got a loud scream, and it almost sounded like it was calling in the coyotes.
I've
because
heard that.
because the coyotes were going. It may have been dogmen. Who knows? It may have been
Yeah.
Bigfoot calling dogmen and calling everybody together.
Yeah.
But all I know is when it made the yell, and I heard all those stuff behind it, I didn't want to be in the woods. I was like, it's time to get out of here. Let them do their
Yeah.
thing out here.
Yeah. You're
So
absolutely right. Every time I've heard of vocalization in the woods, I've gotten out.
yeah,
Gotten
they
out. Yeah.
they letting you know. Hey, we're in here. We're going to be here. So best way I say is that let's keep peace between them. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
shoot at one. They
Nope.
have always um, respected me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had them walk behind my box stand before and take a stick and throw and hit the side of it before. And I said, "Hey, I know you're there. I know you're there. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shoot at you. I know you're back there." But it's funny how you have the windows in your box stand that's in front of you and on the sides, but it's not on the back, and they know where to walk at.
Yeah. Yeah. They're smart. They're really,
Oh
really
yeah,
smart.
yeah.
That's why you never catch them on a game cam, hardly ever.
Right. It's funny how they know the angle of the game cam,
Mm-hmm.
and they know where it's at. So you'll hear footsteps and stuff around it, but unless you catch them cloaking or something like that in front of it, that's like
Yep.
people who get on the subject of gifting. I don't gift.
No.
I'm not going to take that chance because
Absolutely not.
somebody had told me before. I've had multiple people tell me actually. They said once you start gifting, they're going to expect it. When you stop,
You gonna make them mad.
they mad and it sounds like to me they don't have no forgiveness.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're coming in, and the land we have up there that's not on the lease but up there, I don't leave anything for them, and I'm not going to leave anything for them. I don't put any marbles or anything else like that.
Yeah.
I see the evidence that they left behind and it intertwined between the trees and stuff like that or bend
Mhm.
over. This past time I went up there, not only did I see pine trees, but I also seen y'all call them gumball trees, what y'all call them? You got little spikes on them. What do they call them trees? It's not an elm. I forget what they call them.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
What they
Yeah,
call
I know what you're talking about.
And then they fall in the fall time. They got like little spikes. What it looks like all over it.
Yeah.
But they take them trees and they bend them.
Yeah.
One's tall. It's going all the way across the creek that's over there. They got another that comes this way, another that goes that way, and it's intertwined. So they're trying to send a message somewhere, and I don't know what they're trying to say yet. So,
All right, y'all. We're gonna wind her on down. I gotta go to work tomorrow for the next couple of days. But Scott, man, it was a pleasure having you on. I'm glad we got to do this, even though B had an issue come up. It was gonna be me, you, her, and Odessa, and she wants to reschedule it. I told her I'll give her my schedule, and hopefully you and I can get up on there and talk to her about what we had happen to us. We kind of did that tonight, but I'm sure within the next few days, I'm gonna be back out on my property. I'm out there all the time, and I know you're gonna do your thing.
Oh yeah, and, if something happens, I'm gonna call you.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm saying, hey, bro, guess what happened to me this time? And it's like every time we go out there, something is happening. And it's getting to where they're getting closer and closer and closer.
Yep.
The screams, the coyotes, the German Shepherd runs to the edge of the woods. I mean, that was close. That was really close this time. And then I had 5 witnesses there. Okay. 5 witnesses besides myself. and they're all family. All of them were family except for one guy, and that was my friend, my best friend, you know. And so what was amazing about that was they all seen the reaction of the dog. And I asked my cousin, "Is his dog?" I said, "Your dog do that?" He said, "No, he never done that." I said, "Really?" He said, "Unless it's somebody pull up in a vehicle or something like that, you know, he don't know or something like that." I said, "Wow, that's amazing." So
Right.
they're getting close. I think before too long, you know, I'll get some pictures and stuff, some better pictures. But it's gonna take time to be up there at the right time
Right.
and get the camera and stuff.
Most definitely. All right, y'all. We're gonna call it a night. Like I said, our next show, I'll put out a schedule for it. But the next guest, I'm gonna give it to y'all now, is gonna be Old Bear, and Scott can tell you, you don't
Oh
want to
yeah,
miss that one.
you don't want to miss it. This
He is,
guy is a
yeah,
walking, talking book of knowledge, and he's
yeah,
got some experiences.
yeah, most
You,
definitely.
ooh, man,
And
I don't know, I don't know if I would go on them things with him. I'd have to.
yeah,
Yeah, you ever seen that gun they call it a GN Lynx or something like that? A GN6. You ever heard of that gun?
yeah, yeah,
I believe I have to go in the woods with one of them. It's a 50.
yeah,
It's a 50 BMG.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd go with anything less than that
Nah.
because he's talking about some mean creatures.
Yeah, yeah,
Bigfoot with Dogman on the side of them. You know, I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god. You know what I mean? Not just one or two Dogmen either. A bunch
yeah.
of them.
Yep. And if y'all get a chance,
So,
go check out his YouTube channel because he's got a lot of those encounters on his YouTube channel, and it's awesome. He also does what he called Old Bear's 30 years of Bigfoot. He goes through in increments of 5 through his 30 years of Bigfoot and tells his most memorable encounters that he's had and done, helped people with. It's absolutely awesome. Bigfoot Old Bear's one of my most favorite persons in the world. I love talking to the guy. I talk to him all the time, and he's just a walking encyclopedia. Walking encyclopedia. All right, y'all. We're gonna cut it down. Thank y'all for watching. Scott, have a good night, brother.
good night,
I
bud.
will, I will
Have
call
a
you
great week.
tomorrow.
Yeah, have a
Absolutely.
great weekend, brother.
All
Talk to
right.
you
Good
later.
night, everybody.